Okay, so I think we should dive straight into the women's health world and try and understand what a women's health physio does. What does your team do here at Evolve? What are the conditions that women come and see you for, and how can you help best?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing to say is our team are all cross-skilled, so they all have a good history of sports physio. So, if you weren't sure whether to see a women's health physio or a regular physio, I don't know, you've got some hip pain that just hasn't been getting better, then, you can't go wrong. The girls can either see you from a women's health perspective or from a musculoskeletal perspective, or a bit of a crossover for sure. In terms of the more women's health specific topics, I would say, it's really things that are more specific to women in terms of our anatomy and function. And actually men's health has very similar crossover, but I don't personally treat men. My colleague Colin here does. But let's say things related to your pelvic floor, so that might be, urinary leaking, fecal leaking, or inability to control passing wind. Chronic constipation can often be related to pelvic floor overactivity, urgency and frequency, so people who have that classic key in the door type of I need to go to the toilet, sexual pain, sexual dysfunction, reduced sexual sensation, are some of the common topics. Also, I'm sure, as lots of people are aware, but the pre and postnatal causes a lot of change for women in their bodies. So that's commonly a time when we would see people. They have a lot of questions, and postnatally, both birth ways, that vaginal birth or C-section, they have a lot of questions often after and need support to get themselves back to whatever they want to do. But I would say beyond that, it's the CrossFit athletes who are leaking urine when they do a really heavy lift and not sure really where to go, and in some areas of the sport that's an accolade, and slowly that is definitely being broken down, but understanding, like anything else, overload training and principles of hypertrophy apply to the pelvic floor muscles too. We can really apply heavy weighted exercise to that muscle group like you would a very heavy deadlift or a very heavy squat, because it's the same, and we need that area of your body to function too. Likewise, sometimes it's overactive, and then because it's overactive, I always use that analogy that if my hand was kind of half shut, you throw a tennis ball at me, I can't catch it. Whereas if I can relax, you throw a tennis ball at me, then I can contract and catch it. So that can often be why someone's leaking as well, that they are overactive and don't really know how to control the coordinate. Yeah, exactly, the timing. So those sorts of things. And then, increasingly I am seeing more women who are in that perimenopausal phase or menopause and just having a plethora of different changes and not sure, noticing like lots of niggles in tendons, maybe the shoulder or the Achilles that they never had before, maybe noticing weight gain that they can't quite manage anymore, noticing some more recurrent dysfunction and discomfort around the vulva, in terms of the tissue quality, or discomfort with sexual intercourse. And for some of those things, obviously they're very physio specific, and for lots of those I would work very closely with nutrition, with the medical team in terms of any hormone therapy, whether that be topical or oral, and even there breaking down some of the myths around HRT, which there's lots of fear around sometimes.
What does HRT stand for, Jen?
So it's a hormone replacement therapy, and so there are different packages of that and different hormones, but commonly you're looking at estrogen, which is the one that's very low when you're in that perimenopausal and then obviously postmenopausal phase. And there was a long time ago some headline news around the risks of estrogen and cancers. And so that has not gone away.